Welcome back, everyone. If you are a homeowner, a renter, or you own a business, having to file an insurance claim as a result of Hurricane Isaac, and you've run into some problems, help is here, right, John?
Absolutely. Today, we're talking about Hurricane Isaac claims. We're joined by local attorney, insurance defense attorney primarily, Danny Hynes, respected attorney. In fact, he's so good, he's given me many a headache on insurance claims, hurricane claims, and in Katrina. Danny, we're honored to have you here with us today to talk about do's and don'ts of Hurricane Isaac claims.
That's right. It's great. Normally, you all are on the opposite side of the court, right?
Absolutely.
And today, you're on the same side, and that is to help our viewers out there. Yes. So let's just get right into it. Lots of people have lots of issues as a result of Hurricane Isaac, something they've gone through before with Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Rita. What is your advice to folks as they face some of the challenges with making these insurance claims?
I think one of the first things you got to do is just be able to document, if you can, the nature of your claim, the proof of it. That's what the insurance company is looking for. So that if you've probably had a claim in the areas that are affected now with Katrina or Rita or any other storm, you want to be able to set a baseline to show just what your damages are. Mm-hmm. And there's many ways that you can do that.
Well, but John, you represent a lot of those people who are filing claims. Documenting things, that can be a bit of a challenge for folks, right? And what do they do if they can't?
Well, the most challenging documentation problems come for our poor neighbors in Braithwaite who had flooding up to their rooftops.
Right.
That means their receipts of purchases, right. Everything got soaked, mm-hmm. and in some areas, you know, they're still flooded.
That's right.
But many people don't have that problem, and they can still use, you know, they can go back and do it. And Danny,
but John, as you know, you can go and do things like to establish your purchases before the storm, or mm-hmm. improvements to your home, for example. You have bank statements that you can secure, or credit card statements.
Absolutely.
Or you can contact old contractors that did work for you that should or hopefully would have copies of documents showing work performed, and these are the kind of things that you can do, where retailers or bankers or credit card companies would have documents for you that you might have otherwise lost.
Yeah, and that's the value of this. This conversation here, this is the stitch in time we hope that saves 9, because you know, you may say, goodness, I don't have anything and I can't give anything to my insurance company. Well, hold on. That's really good advice. What about, did you pay with a credit card? If you paid cash, well, can you find the guy you paid to renovate your kitchen? You know, go to the store you bought it at. Maybe they can pull it up from a record. These days, this is a digital age. There are ways to reconstruct things. Yeah. Obviously, a lawyer at the website for this show, you can get some of these tips. But what else can we do?
It's going to be very helpful in determining the value of the items that you've lost as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And if you've received prior payments also, you can get proof of that from the insurer that paid you to show what work you've done, what was accomplished. Yeah. So there are many ways to skin the cat.
What are some of the pitfalls out there that people need to be sure that they avoid? Let's start with adjusters, okay? I'm waiting on the adjuster. You're smiling, Danny.
That's a good one for you to answer, because a lot of times the lawsuits happen after the adjuster didn't do right.
I'm more concerned, and I'm going to get a lot of people upset with me probably, but is with what is known as a public adjuster.
Okay.
And my experience and what we saw before was a lot of people held themselves out as public adjusters, and they were not qualified.
Now, so I'm a homeowner and I am being approached by an adjuster. I mean, how am I going to know it's a public adjuster?
They have to identify themselves
as a public adjuster.
And what they could be doing is soliciting your business. And they're going to attempt to come in, and sometimes it gets borderline. John, I know, has a strong opinion on this, whether they're even practicing law. Okay, if they're on a contingency basis. But the thing that concerns me is I've seen a lot of public adjusters, they're in it for themselves. They're not in it for the client. They're not in it for the homeowner that has a claim. And we saw a lot of abuses by these people. Off air we were talking, but I remember one case where a house was purchased shortly before the storm, Katrina, that was at $100,000. and this public adjuster submitted $160,000 in repairs.
That's incredible. And John, your issue with these public adjusters is what?
Well, two things. Basically, there's bad apples in every profession, bad apples as adjusters, public adjusters. On the claimant side, those people who are making a claim against their own homeowners insurance or even your flood insurance, a public adjuster can go out to your house and they could do a good job and say, well, you have damage here, 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 and here, and here's a detailed report, and you can use that with your insurance company. The problem that I see with public adjusters is the other half of the equation is you have to know the law and interpretation of contracts. Does the flood payment interfere with what you receive on your homeowner's payment? Public adjusters are not attorneys, and you're dealing with law, interpretation of contracts, insurance contracts, the fine print, the devil's in the details. That's why I think it's risky to have a public adjuster and not an attorney helping
so
you.
what do I do as a homeowner in a situation where I'm totally stressed out, I've lost everything, and I need help, and I need it immediately?
Well, I hesitate to say this because you're promoting attorneys, but I think attorneys experienced in these matters are more your best friend than anything else. And in the sense, not for fees that they could generate or anything, but that they can look and evaluate and see the circumstances that are important that you might miss. And and that's important. The insurance company wants to resolve this as quickly as they can, and the insurance company, for the most part, most insurers want to go and do the right thing, but you need the facts, and you need someone to go through the maze.
Yeah, John.
Let me just add to that. I think an experienced attorney is going to do better than an inexperienced attorney. An attorney who does everything, immigration, traffic, this, that, and the other. Be careful. Jack of all trades, master of none. I think most insurance companies, if presented all the proof, it's harder for them to deny the claim. So it's better if you go in with somebody helping you provide all the proof, you're more likely to get paid. Big picture though, you got flood insurance, you got homeowners insurance, which is wind and rain. And
not everyone who has homeowners has flood.
Right.
Now,
if you might not have flooding, you might only have damage to your roof, which led in water. You might have flood damage, but very little wind damage. You can get free consultations from lawyers about this, and you can get more information about it on our website. Go see a lawyer. Doesn't need to be me, it could be anybody. Talk to a lawyer, get the free consultation.
Can I be made whole from both my flood insurance and my homeowner's insurance, or is it one or the other?
You could have claims against both policies.
Absolutely.
And it could be according to the terms of the policy. There may be deductibles or there may be depreciation, depending on each policy. But you can essentially be made whole. Now, you can't double dip.
But that deductible thing, that really
That's a
makes
huge
the made
thing,
whole
and that
thing.
has changed tremendously since Hurricane
That's
Katrina.
the fly in the ointment, isn't it? Deductibles are so big now that I just don't know. I think they made a mistake allowing insurance companies to raise the deductible so much. I really hope the legislature reverses some of that. Insurance companies made more than enough profits after Katrina. I hope that they do something to roll that back.
Well, it is an issue for lots of homeowners, and in fact, we know that some homeowners aren't even going to be able to make repairs necessary because of those high deductibles. And in that particular case, I mean, are they just out of luck?
It depends on the size of your claim. It depends on what the damage is attributable to. And these are things that we can't answer right now. I mean, if it's flood, you have a different issue than if it's wind.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
No, just you're going to have to try and repair your home with less money, which means maybe you had hardwood floors. Now you're going to have to go to, I don't know, some cheaper version.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, we want to get you in on the conversation. Our viewers, very important. So as soon as we come back from this very quick break, we're going to get to your questions and to your comments. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to John Redmann, Power of Attorney. Now is your chance to join the conversation. John and attorney Danny Hynes, who is with Walker Daily Law Firm, are ready to answer your questions about some of the legal and insurance challenges that some of you may be facing. Now, you can tweet us at John Redmann POA. You can post your questions on our Facebook wall, or you can send us an email at questions@johnredmannpoa.com.
Thank you, Shauna. And remember, everyone, we're answering questions today. That does not in any way constitute a legal consultation. We can answer questions, but a real consultation requires study of the details of your individual facts in a face-to-face or at least on the phone consultation with a lawyer. So please don't consider this in any way legal advice.
Okay, well, we have lots of questions. I hope you all are ready for the challenge here.
Give it a shot.
Give it a try.
Okay, all right. The first one is from Jeff in Laplace, and just one of many areas that flooded that people were not expecting it. But here's his question. He said, I heard I should only hire state-licensed crews to remove debris from my property. Is that true? Can I just hire some teenagers from my neighborhood to do it?
If you don't mind, the short answer I'll give is you should hire licensed contractors who have insurance. If something goes wrong, if they do damage, if they do a job wrong, well then at least you have the likelihood that they can pay for their mistakes. That's the short answer.
You get what you pay for. And I don't think at this point in time, when you're dealing with the complicated, potentially complicated claims that you have, you want to go on the cheap.
Right.
What you want to do is hire someone who knows what they're doing and get it done well.
Right, and I know a lot of people had a lot of problems dealing with contractors after Hurricanes Katrina and Rita and Gustav and all of those, and they don't want to have to go through that again. So is it just a matter of asking, are you licensed?
No.
No. That happened too. A lot of people learn this the hard way.
The hard way, right.
People will tell you what you want to hear, but you need to tell them, show me your license. Don't just take their word for it. You need to ask to see their contractor's license.
And they should have that on the spot. If I ask if you're there and I'm talking to you and I ask to see it, that contractor should be able to produce it.
And if they don't have it handy, say, well, come back when you have it, because frankly, I don't know you that well.
Shauna, one of the things that you've got to be aware of too is the insurance company doesn't pay for the mistakes of a contractor. So if you hire someone that's not qualified to do repairs and they do poor work or sloppy work, however you want to characterize it, that's on you. That's not on the insurance company. They're paying for the value of the repair job or the damages accomplished, by the storm. But you've got to be careful in who you select to do your work, because if they do shoddy work, you can't go back to the insurance company and say, give me more money because they screwed up.
On that note, and Danny brings up a really good point, by the same token, you're not required to use a contractor that your insurance company recommends to you. Some people think, well, I thought I had to because my insurance adjuster from the insurance company said, use Joe Blow Contractors, Inc. No, you don't. But you are required to use somebody who is licensed, and that way you're protected if they do a bad job.
Well, it sounds like what both of you are saying is that even with the stress and the frenzy of it all, you really do need to take some time to do your homework and make sure that you have a licensed contractor working to repair your home.
Make haste slowly.
Slowly.
Well, it doesn't take that much time. Just say, in the phone book, people advertise whether or not they're licensed, but also ask them to show you proof that they're currently licensed.
Okay, let's move on to another question. This one comes from Jenny from Braithwaite, and we know that that is a community that's really suffering. She says, my house suffered some extensive damage from Isaac. The insurance company told me they would only replace what I'd taken an inventory of. Is that true? Am I actually expected to take an active inventory of things that I own? John.
The short answer is, especially in Braithwaite, everybody there got horrible flooding.
Right.
I mean, goodness gracious, that just...
Lots of important documents washed away.
It's the inventory that Jenny's talking about there is your toasters, your sofas, your refrigerators. Some of that stuff is demolished in homes, and it's in muck, and it's just a mess. And I don't believe that an insurance company can require you to do a forensic piece by piece unraveling. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's just. And they may be subjecting themselves to penalties. I would ask that adjuster to put in writing that they're requesting that and bring that to an attorney, because I don't think that's fair.
Well, you represent those companies, so
you do have to list all your losses, but I believe this Jenny might have been one that contacted me, and she said the adjuster wanted the serial numbers off the back of every item, every piece of electronics, or they wouldn't pay for it. That's too much. But to say you have to list each item, that's fair.
No, I agree with John. Serial numbers, no. But the insurance company is entitled to a submission of a proof of loss, where you list the items that were in your house. As best you're able, to recall. And we're talking, if in Braithwaite, a potential total damage scenario, but you can list the items, and you can try to list as best you can an estimated price or value that you assign. Now, I'm not going to say the insurance company's going to agree with everything, but it's a starting point. But you can say, yes, toaster, yes, sofa, yes, bed, linens. I mean, you could identify the common things.
But is it unrealistic for an insurance company to want very specific information like serial numbers and things of that nature?
To be honest with you, I never saw that in the cases in which I dealt. I never saw that demanded. Because
it sounds wrong. I don't think if an adjuster's asking for that, I think that adjuster's out of line.
Okay.
I never saw it myself.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next question. This comes to us from Lacey on Twitter. She says, the power in my house went out and all of my frozen food was ruined and the stench is unbearable. Does my homeowner's insurance cover this? What about that food that you lost?
How many people can erase from their memory the stench when they returned to town and found their refrigerators that had been without power for weeks or longer? The short answer is, I believe your homeowner's insurance should cover it if the power was out. If it was as a result of flooding, it may be something your homeowner's policy points to the flood insurance, says talk to your flood insurer. There may be some of this going on. Danny, what do you think?
I think policy language governs. And you can't give, I think John gave a fair general answer, but policy languages could govern in terms of what is covered or what is not covered. I think the common experience in terms of at least replacement of food items damaged was pretty universal under homeowners' policies, but you've got to look at the policy.
Your insurance contract, that policy, it'll usually have a provision in there. You can ask your insurance agent who sold you the policy, and they'll give you a straight answer. In my experience, you're not going to have trouble getting paid as long as you have insurance on your property for what was damaged and lost. Your refrigerator may be a loss if you were unable to get to it. In Braithwaite, you were not able to get to it for a long time.
Right.
And so you may get a new refrigerator. You ought to get a new refrigerator if you were in Braithwaite.
Okay.
If you had flood insurance.
Adam from New Orleans says, what is the difference between replacement costs and actual cash value for a home or contents? Big difference there?
Big difference, huge difference. And the main thing is actual cash value. What's it worth today? If it's a 10-year-old sofa, if it's a 10-year-old table, and it's not an antique that it becomes more valuable with time, it's worth a lot less than replacement cost. Replacement cost is go out and buy something in equal quality and style, new, to go buy it new. Never without the dents and scratches and wear and tear.
Without
that's the short
depreciation.
answer. Without any depreciation.
Without any depreciation.
So hopefully, if after the fact you're trying to get your policy to pay, you've got replacement value. Replacement value is worth more.
And that should be spelled out in your policy.
Yes, indeed.
Is that right?
You pay
Clear
for that.
language, and you pay extra for replacement value. And it's clearly spelled out in your policy.
Okay, all right, and I think that we have time for one more question. This comes to us from Chris from the North Shore. He says, I live in St. Tammany Parish, and I didn't have renter's insurance for my apartment, and most of my belongings were destroyed by flooding from Isaac, so am I out of luck? Is Chris out of luck?
I got to tell you, Chris.
I feel your pain, Chris.
Generally, if you rent, that means you don't own the structure. You're renting, so you can live inside that structure. If you had flooding in that structure and you didn't have your own insurance to cover your contents in that structure, you're in a bad way. Your insurance, the homeowner, the owner of that property, hopefully that person had protection to protect the structure, to pay for the structure damage. But if you didn't have your own insurance to cover the contents that were damaged, your own contents in that apartment, I think you can have a real hard time getting anybody to pay for that.
Okay.
That's the short answer.
Danny?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add to that? Well, you know.
You weren't going to correct me?
No, what I'm going to do is just let you just drift off to the side.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Oh, well, Chris learned a lesson probably the hard way.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah, but we certainly wish him a lot of luck. Well, listen, thank you all so much for being with us on this inaugural episode of Power of Attorney. We hope that we have helped you. Stay with us because coming up next week, we're going to continue the conversation. We're going to take your questions, and we'll have lots lots of very important issues that we'll discuss. Thanks so much for watching.